Good afternoon. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, September 13th, 2023, 2 o'clock meeting. Madam Chair, do you have any opening remarks? Where's my calendar?
Anyone who's here and hasn't been here before, Mr. Owens will call the cases in order. The applicant will come to the front. Make sure you're signed in on whatever case you're here for, regardless of whether you're an applicant or just an interested party. Generally speaking, the applicant will sit on this side. Anyone else who's interested can come forward at the same time. Generally on that side, if there's not room at the table, there's a bench there. The applicant will present the applicant's case. Anyone who wishes to be heard can thereafter be heard, with the applicant having a chance to rebut or respond to any information presented by other interested parties. If there's any questions, feel free to ask when your case is called. We'll call the first case.
Madam Chair, we have two cases on for adjournment today. Cases 55423 Seaford, Amy Breidenbach, variances subdivision of lot area, construct dwelling with garage, also known as 3675 Naomi Street, as well as case 55523 Seaford, Amy Breidenbach, variances subdivision of lot area, maintain lesser lot, shed to be removed, also known as 3681 Naomi Street.
Good afternoon, Mr. D'Amato, members of the board. William Vanesso for Chili Deegan Tirana, 333 Old Earl Arrington Boulevard, for the applicant. Yes, my client, I was advised by the expediter on this matter that the property was not properly posted in a timely fashion, and as such, we need an adjournment. Additionally, they are filing an application. The application as presently presented proposed residential on one lot and proposed nothing specific on the other lot. I told them it would be better if they proposed a use for each lot, so they're going to also propose another residential use for the additional lot. So we're going to need new notices and the like. So I spoke to Mr. Owens about it, and he indicated that November, was it 15th?
November 15th.
15th was available for an adjourn date.
Okay, and that's enough time for you to
Yes.
have the plans, get them reviewed, have them on file 30 days, get your notices out. Okay, what time?
2 o'clock?
Okay, November 15th at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vanesso.
Okay, next we have cases 55623 East Meadow JB Holdings LLC, variances subdivision of lot, front width at front setback line, construct dwelling with garage, demolish existing dwelling, parcel 2, formerly known as 2656 Woods Avenue, as well as case 55723 East Meadow JB Holdings LLC, variances subdivision of lot, front width at front setback line, construct dwelling with garage, parcel 1.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Brown, McLaughlin and Stern, 1122 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, appearing for the applicant. The applicant's principal is sitting to my right. Just put your name.
Biju Pudusari, 3 Dabra Place. Okay. Biju Pudusari, 3 Dabra Place, Syosset.
All right, good afternoon. Again, we're here today on an application on this property located on Woods Avenue in East Meadow. The address is 2656 Woods Avenue. This is an oversized parcel that's presently improved with 1 vacant single-family dwelling, and we are asking for very minor variances, same variance on each property in the hopes of completing a subdivision on which we will build 2 new single-family dwellings that will be sold, hopefully with the usual conditions that the board imposes on sale of owner-occupied new owners at the completion of the project. The lots that we propose to create are both in excess of the minimum lot area. Each lot would be a total of 6,913 square feet, You see the property is a little bit of an irregular shaped, a bit of a pie-shaped property. So one side has a depth of 158.8 square feet, and the other side has a depth of 150 square feet. Both properties, as I mentioned, would be of the same square footage, the same dimensions. The proposed homes meet all of the setback requirements and the lot coverage requirement and the height requirement. In fact, at the street line, the lots are actually compliant with the 55-foot rule. They have 59, a little bit more than 59 feet at the street line. However, because of the shape of the lots, at the building line of the house, we are shy of the 55-foot by less than 1 foot. Each house would have 54.11 feet across of frontage at the building line. So as you know, the ordinance reads that you must have the 55 feet at the front curb line and at the building line, and that is the deficiency here, 54.11 versus 55 at the building line. Otherwise, both houses require the same relief. Both houses, as you can see, are pretty much constructed in the same fashion and meet all the other setbacks and all the other zoning requirements. Each house would have a garage. Each house would have a parking pad with new curb cuts that could accommodate 2 cars in the driveway, plus the interior garage that's proposed for each house. As I said, the lots are oversized, and they're not, in any event, they're not different in character than any of the other lots or most of the other lots shown on the radius map. Woods Avenue, if you look at your map, you'll see it's a street with some curvature to it. So as you come around the curve, the subject property is located at the sort of the end of this curve, which accounts somewhat for the slightly irregular shape of the property. There are a number of oversized lots in this area, and our lots are oversized, but there are also some lots that have less than the 55-foot of frontage, including a 45-foot frontage directly across the street, as well as 2 50-foot frontages directly across the street. And our lots at the street line would have almost 60 feet of frontage. Again, it's just the building line of the houses that require the variance.
And, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
The first question, obviously, is, why didn't you just scoot it forward a foot? I see that you only have a 1/4 of a foot before you would need a front yard, so if you wanted, you could have scooted it forward a foot and then just come for 3/4. I'm not suggesting you should, but that's how de minimis this is.
It's very de minimis. I understand the designer laid it out this way, I think, in an effort to try to meet all of the other setbacks, plus allow room for parking in the front, new driveways. Either way, it's a de minimis request. There's absolutely no impact on the neighborhood because it fits really with the zoning. These lots that are proposed are perfectly legal lots. It's just the precise location of the dwellings that is triggering us. So the subdivision is really as of right. It's the location of the house that triggers the variance. I did also want to mention that I spoke to my client about this. There are steps shown on each house that in a basement. There would be no basement entrance. I didn't catch that earlier. Spoke to my client about that this morning, and we would agree to eliminate a basement entrance and accept all the usual subdivision conditions that the board imposes.
Is that the steps in the side rear?
Correct, on both houses.
So there would be no steps there, or they would not go to a basement?
No, the steps would be gone, no basement entrance.
Okay, would there be any door there? I don't have the
No,
plans.
no door, no steps, that would go away. So the houses will, as I said, each have an interior garage, they each have a front porch. My client estimates that the houses would each sell for hopefully a little bit over $1 million. He's looking at a net profit of around $200,000 after construction. So there's a benefit to the applicant, as I mentioned, no detriment to the neighborhood. The house, he acquired the house 3 years ago. I believe after it had been lost for failure to pay taxes, it's now vacant. There were tenants in it, but the tenants are now gone. It's now vacant. It will remain vacant through the construction. If this, if this were to be approved, it will remain vacant until it's demolished, and then the construction would begin. He thinks it'll be about 200 total because of the cost of construction, essentially. Yeah. And that's really the application, unless you have any further questions.
Mr. Brown, what we'll want to do is somehow get the proposed entrances off the plans, because they would be referenced in a decision.
Yes, what I can do is, after today, I can have an amended plan submitted to the office, and that would be the plan we would ask be approved.
Okay. And there will be a basement, though?
There will be a basement, but no outside basement entrance.
Okay. If no one else has any questions for Mr. Brown right now, I know, we'll, Mr. Brown, you want to relocate yourself so I can hear from the
Are we
folks
gonna
who
use
signed
the-
in?
Mr.
Okay, we
Rowan
can
saying
do
we
that.
have the
You're right. Let's
podium.
do that.
Sure.
Good afternoon. My name is Elena Lavelle-Lowe. I live at 2648 Woods Avenue, East Meadow, New York, 11554. Oh, sure. I do. So I will sit directly left of the property, and I have a very small home. And the reason my husband and I purchased this house 20 years ago is because of the lot sizes. They are oversized. And I have a very small home, and my concern is that the dwelling that they propose to put up 6 feet from my gate will encroach upon my privacy. With this property, I'm also concerned about water runoff. I have a driveway that floods every time it rains, any amount of rain. And so if this house is now 6 feet from my property line, I'm concerned about water runoff. I'm also concerned because I have solar on my home, and I'm concerned that moving this house so much closer than the house that's there now will impact my solar production.
You may know they're not asking for setback variances, meaning he's proposing to set the house back the allowable amount from the side yard, the property line shared with you. There's no height variance requested, so I'm not sure that there's any place for us to really do anything about the potential. It may or may not be an imposition on your solar panels, but there's nothing that we can actually do about that because he's complying with those variances as it relates to the water runoff. It would seem, as part of this process, if this application is approved, there is the town engineering department deals with drainage, water runoff, and all of that to ensure that that actually doesn't happen. Mr. Brown,
It's on. That's correct. We would be required to contain our water on our property pursuant to the town's construction codes. And I spoke to my client, and he will also consent as a condition of a grant that he will put up a legal 6-foot PVC fence along that property line so that the neighbor can be assured that privacy will be maintained.
would that fence stop at the front of the dwelling, I take it?
A legal fence, yes. If that's something that the neighbor wants, we're happy to agree to do that.
I just want to let you know that my driveway will be right next to their driveway, and a 6-foot fence all the way up will definitely prevent me from being able to see.
Well,
Just,
that's why we said, you make a good point. A fence The 6-foot fence is only legal without a variance to the front of the house, so it would not be forward in front of the house.
Okay.
Okay, so does that make sense to you? He's offering that. If you don't want that, I'd rather you let him know now. If that sounds like a step in the right direction, you know, how do you feel about it?
That's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, is
Thank
there
you.
anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Whoever wants to go next, which one of you? Go ahead, sir. Just give your name and address for the record first, slowly and loudly so she can take it down.
Sure, sure. My name is David Baez. I'm at 2664 Woods Avenue. Looking at the house, I'm directly to the left. And I'm here today also sharing concerns. I think the impact primarily would be quality of life. I think putting 2 homes in that one lot is rather ambitious. I echo Ms. Elena's sentiment, right? It's a unique block. The 2 blocks that end at Parkway School, they're oversized lots, and it's someone everyone enjoys, and deliberately purchasing houses on those houses for that specific reason. I live in a 1950s Cape, so modest at best, and I know very little about the height of the house, and I can only imagine how invasive it would be towards our windows. I could imagine also not being able to open it as often as we do now. There's also an issue with congestion on our block. There's a trend. A lot of the homes, they're being purchased and rented out to multiple families in single dwellings, and I just feel like this will be exacerbated with 2 additional properties on one specific lot. Parking is becoming more of an issue, and you know, I'm friends with my neighbors across the street, but I allow them to, you know, park their cars right in front of my house, and I just feel this will get worse with 2 lots and, you know, however many individuals reside in those additional lots. And then there's the concern about rental property, which has also been prevalent within our area. A lot of times these aren't homeowners. These are renters with very little vested interest into the homes, and there's a concern there. And I just feel like for a profit, where, you know, the quality of our life would be impacted, and so it's just a concern on my end and my family's.
Thank you. Mr. Bias, a couple of things. I'll address some of the issues you've raised. As it relates to the size of the lot proposed here, both of the lots proposed are larger than is required. They're not asking for relief as it relates to the size of the lots. Let's see. Parking, Mr. Brown, how many parking spots do you have in that driveway off-street? Each one?
Each one will have a 2-car driveway plus a garage.
So there'll be 6 spots off, and at the very least, there'll be 2 at each house outside. I know not everyone puts their car in the garage, so even if you eliminate the garage thinking it's storage, there's still going to be 4 parking spots off the street. As it relates to multifamily and also renters, those are sort of separate issues but often related. If the board is inclined to look upon this application favorably, as Mr. Brown already agreed to, and even if he hadn't, the board would most likely impose a condition that whoever purchased this house, if it's approved, once it's built, has to reside there. And it would be a condition of any grant, so that if someone purchased the house and lived there for 2 years, and 4 years from now, the person sold the house to some guy who starts renting it out, then the board would most likely call, and obviously you guys would call and say that's not the owner, then this board would call them back in here and likely revoke the grant. So that is one of the ways we try to protect against this, because you're not the first person who's come before this board with this issue, and it's a very legitimate issue. Let's see, did I answer? And it would only be one more house, right? Because there's one there now. They seek to put 2 there. So it's not 2 additional houses, which may just be a technicality, but it's 1 additional house, 1 additional family that's being proposed.
Right. Well, the 1 additional house would be much closer, and that's where I brought that whole invasive feel. And so there's that. And twice the amount of dust, twice the amount of time spent constructing these homes. Again, it's a quality of life issue, and the property has undergone several change in owners. I don't believe it was a tax issue. I just think it's, I think it was, legitimate sale issue, and yeah, I just wanted to share that. Yeah,
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Next.
Hello, my name is Raymond Hansen, Hansen. I live across the street at 2661 Woods Avenue, East Meadow, 11554.
Hello.
I'm definitely opposed to this. I do not want to see two houses being built in a lot that the previous owner that I remember was Chris Higgins. His family owned the house, and he was approached by a contractor. Don't know how many years ago, and contractor said to him, I want to buy your house, I want to knock it down and build two houses, on the stipulation that it was approved by the town board. He went to the town board, and he was outright denied. So my question is, if it was denied 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, how come we're standing here now today at a variance because somebody's changing something? He was told flat out that the two lots together were not buildable lots. And that's why they would not allow him to build two houses, because he had the money chain in his hand, like, cha-ching, I'm looking how much money I can make, knock his house down, buy it for $400,000, build two houses, and make a lot of money.
Do you mean the town board or the zoning board here?
He went to the town. I don't know who he went to, and it was denied. So the sale of the house fell through. Then whoever owned the house at the time, I don't know if it was his sister, she sold the house to a couple who didn't move in because the house needed too much renovation. So she in turn resold the house to somebody. She made money on the house, and then the person bought the house and rented the 2 floors. The person who bought the house did not live in the house. It was I have no idea who it was, a corporation, a bank, or somebody, and they rented the 2 floors out. That was like that for years. And then they wanted to sell the house and put it on the market. No, there was no buyers, and then all of a sudden, we're getting this in the mail that they're gonna come up with a new plan to build 2 houses. So I want to know why we're even here. If it was denied at once, I don't know how many years ago when the Chris Higgins family lived there, it was absolutely denied.
Okay, Mr. Pellegrini is looking into that now, but just for those of you in opposition, just to be sure you understand what's before us. This is I could say, of the 18 years I've been on this board, this is the least request we've ever seen, that I remember ever seeing for a subdivision. If he scoots that house a foot forward, if he took 3/4 of a foot off the house, he wouldn't even have to come here. Because of all the requirements, the setbacks, the height, the lot coverage, he doesn't need any of that. When you subdivide a property, the width of the lot at the street has to meet the requirements, and it varies. In your neighborhood, in your zone, it's 55 feet wide. Both the lots he wants to create are 59 feet wide at the street. They have to be 6,000 square feet. They're well in excess of that. But the one thing that they're failing on, and the side yards, the rear yards, the lot coverage, everything complies. However, the statute about the width at the street also says it has to be 55 at the street and 55 even with the house. It still has to stay that wide. In this case, I think Mr. Brown said it's 5411, is that right? It's 1 inch too narrow at the point. The width of the lot is 1 inch too narrow at the point the house starts, the front of the house. If he took 1 inch off the house, he also you wouldn't be here. It's that small a request. So all the issues that you've raised, we hear you. They're not things that we can change. If we deny this case, all that's going to happen is he's going to take less than a foot off somewhere on the house, or adjust it 3/4 of a foot and build it as of right.
I was
Just so
told
you
that
know.
at the time it was 20, about 20 square feet short on the second lot for it being a buildable lot, and that's why it was denied. So I don't know where you're coming up with 1 inch. I have no idea. When I was
Well,
told
the-
it was 20 square feet.
The lots are, what are each lot, Mr. Brown, 6,100?
The lots are just under 7,000 square feet apiece. Obviously, I'm not aware of a prior application. There may have been one, I don't know of it. But it may have been a totally different configuration that was proposed at that time.
I have the previous record. It was a case that was case 695 of May 7th, 1947.
I don't think that's the one to which he refers.
No, that's not.
This is the previous record that we have on this one. It's a
Yeah.
That's
conversion
when
of
the
one
Elgin homes
family.
were built.
Excuse me?
That's when the Elgin homes were built. That's where Elena lives.
It may be that that the prior owner, if they went to the town board,
He didn't,
They-
the builder did.
okay, if the builder went to the town board, usually that's where proposals go for things other than the type of variances we're addressing here. For example, could have been a request to rezone it in some fashion, to allow, I don't know, multifamily dwelling, let's say, or something other than the kinds of variances that we're addressing here usually come here. Some of them have some concurrent jurisdiction with the town, depending on the size of it, but that's the only one that's come before us, Joe?
I was told that. That's why I'm, why are we even here? That's what I kept saying to my wife. I said, I have no idea why we even bothered being here if this was already denied a
And-
few years back.
Even if it was a case that, which I don't think it was, had come before this zoning board any time in the past, those cases are always evaluated on the exact proposal. Like, if they shrunk the house by a foot, they wouldn't be here. So let's say the prior owner had, the house was, 3 feet wider each direction. That's a completely different case for this analysis than is this current case. So,
Well, I don't know.
they're always, it's very fact-based, specific analysis.
All I know is it's just gonna cause a big heartache on our block with congestion, multi-families living in the house, a lot of cars,
No
congestion.
multifamilies. Matter of fact, not even a rental.
No,
If
well,
this
we
board
already had
approves
that.
it, it will be owner-occupied. And if you folks find that it's not that, or that someone's putting in a cellar entrance, or someone's, you see another kitchen going in, or more than one family, then you call. And, because if a grant is made, it will be a very specific condition that the owner has to live there, that it can't be rented, it can't be multifamily. Those are big deals to this board.
And you also have letters on file from other neighbors
We do.
that also are opposed, I hope, and they have their opinions. We're all not here, there's not just the three of us are here.
Agreed.
We have other people that couldn't make it, that I
And-
want their opinions to be known.
We have them, and they are definitely part of
And
the
we're all
record.
we're all under the same pretense here. We don't want this on our block.
Understood.
It's, we're not living in Queens, we're living in East Meadow, New York. And you put those two houses in there, you're gonna create such congestion for Dave and Elena on the sides of the house, no privacy. She can't even walk in her backyard without somebody looking out her window. Dave can't go on his patio because somebody could be looking out the window. I mean, right now, the location of the house that's there now is in a good spot, because there's plenty of room on the left, there's a big driveway. The previous owner used to have a little area they used to park cars, and on the other side where Elena's side is, plenty of room, plenty of privacy. So, you don't even need fences, but Dave has a fence up, and Elena doesn't. She doesn't need it because there's privacy. Now, okay, they're gonna put a 6-foot fence up. What does a 6-foot fence do when somebody's 18 feet up in the second floor looking into her backyard? She has no privacy. Same thing with Dave. He's got no privacy. I mean, my house across the street, my neighbor put a second floor in it on their house. They want my privacy. I mean, we got windows right across from windows.
I have it
So,
too. I understand.
What am I, in Queens here?
I
This is-
understand.
And this is gonna create, it's not gonna sit well with us. And I hope you guys take that in consideration, and hopefully you vote this down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brown, anything else to add?
Nothing further.
Okay, do I have any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, all parties who have signed in today will be notified by mail.
Thank you all for coming and participating. Have a nice day, everyone.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have case 55823, near Valley Stream, Temple Hillel Southside Jewish Center Incorporated. Variance in off-street parking and proposed conversion of daycare to classrooms for educational use in conjunction with Temple, also known as 1000 Rosedale Road.
Sean Mulryan Engineering, 1225 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, New York.
Good afternoon. The application before you today is for a special exception and parking variance to permit a change of use of existing classrooms on the first floor of Temple Hillel, located at 1000 Rosedale Road in Valley Stream. Subject premises is also known as Section 39, Block 502, Lots 29, 69, and 70 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. It is located in a Residence B district. I would first like to note, other than minor interior alterations that occurred to the classrooms on the first floor over the years, there are no alterations or expansions proposed to the existing building. Classrooms were used as a school for many years, and then in 2001, via a parking variance, the use of the classrooms was changed to a daycare and multi-purpose room, and a small first-floor addition to the rear of the building was constructed. We are here simply requesting permission to change the use of the classrooms back from a daycare operation to an academic school.
What precipitates that? Is it because the parking calculation changes?
Yes.
Okay.
The plan examiner required a full analysis of the temple parking as if it was going to be constructed today on a vacant lot, rather than accepting the initial submission of the architect that only identified the parking required for the proposed school use of the existing classrooms, which, as you will hear from the applicant's parking consultant, is only 6-space variation.
Mr. Minerva, so that's odd to me, but how many spots did the other thing, what was your variance you already had? How many spots?
Say that again?
What was your existing variance? How many spots? What was required and what was approved in the prior one?
In the prior one, I have that. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. So the variance in 2001 had total parking required 142 spaces, parking provided 21 spaces.
So did the examiner give you credit for the existing whatever spot variance? 121?
The 142? So
Well,
the
there
way,
would have been a 121 variance, right?
no, he did not give us credit for that, but also the examiner required us to list all of the existing uses as of today. So they came up with a very high number, not just looking at the fact that we're asking just to change the use of these existing classrooms.
Well, okay, Mr. Mulryan, you'll explain in detail how they came to the number, okay? Go ahead. Yeah.
and he'll explain in actuality, we're only asking for variation of 6 spaces, because the classrooms are there, they needed a certain number to be used as a daycare, and they need a certain number to be used as an academic school, and that differentiation is 6 spaces.
So the daycare continues?
No,
Just-
the
just a
daycare
portion-
is,
oh,
the
no
daycare is going to be totally gone, and those classrooms that were used for the daycare is now only going to be used for an academic school.
Oh, so there was, so I had the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So a big portion was already used academic and will continue to be so? And the daycare piece is just changing?
So historically, it was used as an academic school from 1960 to 2001. In 2001, they changed the use to a daycare. All the school classrooms was totally gone, and they used the classrooms for daycare. That did require variance at the time because they also did an addition. That was granted. Now, 20 years later, they want to convert that back from a daycare to an academic school.
Okay.
And now, based on the current code, the classrooms for an academic school versus the classrooms for a daycare require 6 additional parking spaces.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it going to be a religious school?
Yes, a religious academic school, yeah. It'd be a grade school, but religious.
You didn't say that.
Go ahead.
Well, it's not, I just want to clarify, it's not religious instruction where it's just like a weekend school or a night school. It's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., religious academic school.
Thank you.
Okay. The alterations that occurred over the years to the classroom configuration were very minor. They only included combining of 3 separate classrooms into one classroom, classroom 101 on your floor plan, an office into a classroom, classroom 103, and a classroom adjacent to classroom 102 into an office, and one office into 2 offices, as shown in the architect's plan. So I have 11 by 17s of the 2001 approved plans and 11 by 17s of the plans before you today to make it easy to compare, and you'll see extremely minor alterations. Otherwise, both floors of this temple are exactly the same they were as per the last approval.
Okay, we'll accept those in
And I'll slip
evidence.
that as applicant's Exhibit A. Okay, these are the old ones, and these are the new ones. The school, as I stated, the school will operate Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. There will be no temple activities during this time other than administration, and as you'll hear from the applicant's parking expert, there are sufficient off-street parking spaces to accommodate the school staff. The use, as I stated, is the use as a school was there for many years previously and is proposed in lieu of the daycare operation, is in compliance with the special use permit criteria pursuant to Section 399B of the Building Zone Ordinance, as it will not cause a significant traffic problem, will not have a substantial adverse effect on property values, will not overtax municipal services, and is not a substantial risk to fire or emergency. As stated, the classrooms are existing and have existed for over 60 years, have been used as an academic school for almost 40 years, and then as a daycare for 20 years. So the simple change of use to existing classrooms back to an academic school will not pose any adverse risks that are referenced in said section. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call Sean Mulryan to give his summary of his report and to submit his report.
Mr. Mulryan, I take it you're being asked to give your expert testimony as to parking and traffic patterns.
Yes, I am.
And you've testified before this board on numerous occasions in the past and been qualified to do so. Has anything changed in your credentials since the last time you were qualified to testify?
No, there
before
has
this board? Okay, we'll qualify Mr. Ryan to give his expert and opinion testimony as it relates to traffic patterns and parking, et cetera.
Thank you very
Please
much.
proceed.
One of the questions that was asked earlier is the number of parking spaces currently required for the subject site. And I want everyone to hold on to their seat before I say this, but the required parking for the subject site currently under current zoning code is 489 parking spaces.
As the building department determined for this application.
Correct.
Okay, keep going.
If we were building this temple in all its uses today,
Okay, keep going.
Of that-
Still providing 21? Are you still proposing the provision of 21 spots?
21.
That hasn't changed?
No, that hasn't changed either. Right, 21's on our site.
Yes. So the requested variance is from 489 spaces required, where 21 are provided. As Mr. D'Agostino has mentioned, this site was developed approximately 60 years ago. Oh,
I heard that, as long as the check clears.
As long as I stay my age.
The site has been fully operational for 60 years. In fact, the town in 1972 passed local law 58-1973, establishing a 20-mile-an-hour school speed zone in proximity to the subject site along Rosedale Road. That indicates that this site was, in fact, used as a school upon construction of the building. Again, the school was in operation for approximately 40 years, and then in 2001, the school was changed to a daycare. One of the things that I want to just specify for the board, which may help picture what's happening in the site, is that there are only 7 classrooms within the building. The occupancy, based on the current code, is 13 persons in classroom 101, 14 persons in classroom 102, 12 persons in classroom 103, 12 persons in classroom 104, 12 persons in classroom 105, 12 persons in classroom 106, and 28 in classroom 107. So
Occupancy, is that the occupancy? Do you anticipate no greater than that? I get that's what you're supposed to have, but is that what you intend to
by
have?
state law, that's all we are permitted to have in those classrooms, including all staff and all students.
Okay,
so
and
the-
that's what you intend to have, no more than?
No more,
Correct,
that's
correct.
Yeah, and I believe in practice, over the years, they never really had more than 90 students there, but they do not tend to have any more people down there than the occupancy that Sean just mentioned.
Okay, and then you're going to do the office staff, I guess.
Correct. So this is a very small number of classrooms. It was, again, used as a school for many years. It was converted to a daycare. The application before you obviously is specific to those classrooms and those areas of the building. The daycare facility required 2 parking spaces for the pupils of the daycare and 15 parking spaces for the staff. The present application before you today requires 18 parking spaces for the school staff and 5 parking spaces for students grades 11 and higher. That is put in because this school is yet to be run by anyone. It's space that they're looking to have someone come in and operate. What we have suggested in our report is that a restriction be put in place that no students are permitted to drive to school, reducing what that requirement would be specifically to the student staff or the staff of the school.
So take 5 off the 485?
Correct. Or 5 of the 23, whichever you prefer. Bringing the requirement in that case down to 18, where 17 are currently approved. So the site, again, provides 21 spaces. This is a non-simultaneous use of the building. We also recommend in our report that the school operate as a standalone entity and no other than minor administrative activities of the temple, no other activities take place at the subject site while school is in session.
So how did they get to 485? And what else is going on there that we do have to think about? If we're talking about all the parking, the 21 spots being available for the school, I get the non-simultaneous use issue, but what else?
So they got to
We
the...
can't analyze one in a box without figuring out what else happening, and I don't understand how they got to 485,
So this,
tell
yeah,
us.
as I stated, this application is just to use those existing classrooms that were approved for daycare as the last approved use, now for classrooms. The plan examiner wanted an analysis of everything that's there today. Now, what's there today, we're not changing. That's been there since the last expansion, which was 2001. So that building, the first and second floor, the full, I think it's 50,000 plus square feet of floor area, he said, okay, analyze all that today of what it would require if you built it today. And that's how they got to that number, and that includes the 2 sanctuaries, the ballroom, the multipurpose rooms, and the classrooms. Most of that's on the second floor, other than the multipurpose room, and none of that second floor, other than a few administrative offices, are going to be in operation at the same time as the school.
Okay, so that's the school in 18
Yeah.
or 20, whatever. So that still means that the other section of the second floor of the structure needs 450 spots or something?
Yeah, so if you have a large ballroom, you have 2 sanctuaries, so if you add all that up, it's
So
I'll
did
tell
the
you right
number
now.
come from a square footage of pure calculation, or what?
They did it based on, let's see, the sanctuary was based upon the number of seats, 363 seats, 121
what? Say it again?
spaces,
300, how many seats?
363 seats,
Okay.
divided by 1 space per 3 seats was 121 spaces. The, let's see, the ballroom is 9,000 square feet, 1 person per 15 square feet, that was 202 spaces. And then 105 spaces for the multi-purpose room, now I believe that's on the lower level, or the first floor. And then 23 for the school, and 8 for office staffs, and 5 for kitchen.
What, is there, so there's a first and second floor, and what's the lower level? Like a
Sorry, I
basement?
meant first floor, there's
How
no
many-
basement,
How many floors are there?
2 floors,
No basement?
no basement, no
So
basement.
was all the parking that's associated with everything but this proposed school, has that,
It's been there forever,
does it have a variance?
yeah.
So
There was a variance when the building was originally constructed in 1959, and then the most recent one in 2001 was the most recent expansion. There was a parking variance then as well.
and what was that expansion? That wasn't the daycare, right? That was that
That
little
was,
addition?
that was the daycare and an addition all in one shot.
Okay. Go ahead. Are you done, Mr. Ryan? All right?
The only thing I'd just like to state, unless there's any questions, is that there are parking restrictions along the site frontage to allow for bus pickup and drop-off of students. Again, this was operated either as a school or a daycare for the last 60 years. All the other uses within the building have existed for that same period of time, and we believe that the use as a school, which operated for over 40 years, will not have a negative impact on the surrounding area.
And there will be, did you say there's no other simultaneous use? Like, are there going to be any prayers during the school hours, or is it only the school during the school hours, except for the office
Only the
staff?
school, except for the administration office staff for the temple.
And that's how many people?
3 people.
So that and the school teachers.
The maximum of, I think it was, the total of the classrooms was 120. What were the maximum students? Did you have that total? So it would be the maximum students that's permitted in those classrooms?
76, I think I calculated.
100
We have 103 persons, minus 18 gives you 96.
76.
96 students, 108 people
76.
with the staff, 103 people with the staff, plus 3 people for upstairs for administration of the temple, so 106.
And, okay.
Yeah, I wish the plan examiner just accepted the first submission of the site plan, which said we needed 6 spaces, but they wanted the full analysis of the whole existing building, even though we're not proposing to build this today, because it's been there 60 years. But they didn't, so we had to show it. But what we're really here for is to change the use of those classrooms that have been there forever, so we could go from a daycare back to a religious academic school.
What about buses? Do we have,
Yeah, so Sean testified there are parking restrictions in front. We have 300 feet of frontage along Rosedale Road for our property, including there's a little out parcel for a little pump station in the county. But we have that 300 feet. So like the buses have been doing for, I guess, the last 60 years, they drop off the students in front where we have the restricted frontage.
that's what I just meant. Will there be buses?
Oh, yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm going to just submit a copy of Sean's report, applicant's Exhibit B.
We'll accept that, I don't have any. Okay, is that your case, Mr. Minerva?
Yes.
I have a question. How many student, now it's a child daycare?
It's not in operation, but it was a child daycare for close to 20 years.
Okay. How many children were there at that time?
The calculation in the plan was 50 pupils.
50.
50.
And teachers plus staff?
No, that was just the pupils, not the staff.
No, but how many
Yeah.
were teachers plus staff?
The parking requirement for the daycare is based on 50 pupils, and then a parking requirement for office and staff of 15 parking spaces. So whether or not that backs into 15 employees, I couldn't say, but I would say that the zoning code is looking in that direction. So based on the zoning calculation at that time, they were looking for 15 parking spaces for office and staff, as it was called, and then 2 spaces for the 50 pupils, which accounts for someone coming in to pick up their child or whatever else. So that's where the 17 parking spaces for the daycare comes from in the previous calculation, which is approved by the board. And again, the prior use of this space within the building from 1960 approximately to 2000 was for the school, as we're proposing today.
Okay, and those children were up to the age of 4?
Did you have a condition?
Yeah, before they would go to kindergarten.
Okay, now we're going to a religious school. Is it the whole school, like kindergarten through 12?
So we've applied for kindergarten through 12th because 11th and 12th graders technically require parking spaces. So we included that in there as having classrooms for 11th and 12th to give flexibility, but we don't know the specific grade yet. We had an operator lined up for this year, but we didn't, before they knew, how long it was going to take to get to a hearing, so they did not move forward, so right now it's vacant, so we have to work with an operator to figure out the exact grades, but I can not commit to, we're going to be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, or 5th, 6th, and 7th. We don't know right just now.
Okay, let's say we do have the 103 students at some time. How many teachers and staff would there be then?
Yeah, I believe it's 18.
That
18.
includes.
The same
So-
thing?
Well, it was 15 under the...
17.
It appears there's about 15 under the daycare, so it'd be 18.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that your case, Mr. Minerva?
Yes.
Okay, do I have any other questions from the board?
The hearing be closed, placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in will be notified of the board's decision once rendered.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Minerva, and group, have a nice day.
Next, we have cases 55923 through 56123, West Hempstead, Starbucks Coffee Company. Install detached illuminated digital order screen sign with overhead canopy in conjunction with existing drive-through. Relocate previously approved sign S16-21839. Install detached illuminated preview menu board sign in conjunction with existing drive-through. Relocate previously approved sign S16-21838. Install detached illuminated menu board sign in conjunction with existing drive-through. Relocate previously approved sign S-16-21840, also known as 580 Hempstead Turnpike.
You can give your name and address for the record, loudly and slowly, so she can take it down.
Dave LoFrisco, office located at 60 East 42nd Street, New York, New York.
Spell your last name, please.
LoFrisco, L-O-F-R-I-S-C-O.
Good afternoon, Mr. LaFrisco.
Good afternoon. So just to reiterate, I'm Dave LoFrisco. I'm with Kimley Horn Engineering, and I am representing the Starbucks Coffee Company, the tenant and applicant for the work proposed at 580 West Hempstead Turnpike. in West Hempstead. The scope under this application is for the removal and replacement of the drive-through menu equipment. As noted, it's the pre-menu board, digital order point, and canopy relocated 30 feet to a location which, per Starbucks studies, is a more efficient layout for operations and to better deal with peak demand flows that the site is seeing. This equipment was originally approved under variance, and thus we are seeking approval for the relocated locations of this equipment.
Are the new locations the one denoted in red on the site plan, or is that the old?
The red is the current
Okay.
locations, which are to be removed, and the black is the proposed.
Okay, and then there's a lot going on here. Can you tell me how I like most quickly find the new locations?
Sure, so right to the plan east of the red, you'll see the callouts and the dark line work for the new equipment location. It's roughly 30 feet to the east of the red marks. That is the new
Number
equipment.
A, I think the A goes with that, yes. So one of them is denoted in A, correct?
The A, B, and D are the removals in E, and the callouts to the east with the proposed.
Okay, so let's just do A.
Yep.
So there's A, it's in red, I know that's the old location.
Correct.
Now, I'm not seeing the call out for the current location. What is it marked on here?
So A is the existing
Correct.
menu board to be removed. The new location is called out as proposed 3-panel menu board at station. It's spot
red.
F.
Pardon me?
Spot F.
Okay, that's what we're trying to get.
Yep.
So A becomes F.
Mhm.
Okay. Why did we say that? Okay, so B, what's B?
B becomes G.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I found it, okay. And then E becomes what?
E becomes, it's
I?
around the corner to J.
Wow, it's just not intuitive, okay. Okay, go ahead. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's the intent of the application. It's a small relocation of that existing equipment to improve the operations.
Site plan, it shows proposed pre-order menu board, point, sign, permit, application, so on and so forth. Is that part of this application? And
The proposed pre-order menu board is a relocation of its existing location at spot E around the corner, just to provide enough distance before the order equipment for the customers.
Would that affect the queuing line?
So the intent here is essentially what happens during peak flow is the distance between the order points and the pickup window is of significance. The bigger the gap provides more opportunity for the employees to prepare the drinks and thus helps a more efficient layout to prevent backup while customers are waiting in queue to order. So essentially what will happen is this increases that storage space from order point to pickup window, and then there is a more true queue behind the order point for vehicles waiting. So it's not intended to increase visitors to the site, just more efficiently serve those who are currently.
Is that a single lane or a double lane?
This
Or
is
what-
a single lane.
Okay. And that's your case?
That's the case.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board?
Move the hearing be closed, matter placed on the decision calendar. You will be notified by mail of the board's decision once rendered.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
you.
have a nice day. Joe, he keeps thinking it's you. He keeps doing that to you.
Next, we have cases 56223 through 56723 Lido Beach, Neil Millick. Special exception to construct accessory structure, sculpture with propane tank higher and larger than permitted, exceeding horizontal maximum on both sides, not permitted in front yard setback, and with lot area occupied variance. Special exception to maintain second accessory structure, 4 AC units with storage, not permitted, and with lot area occupied variance. Special exception to maintain third accessory structure, outdoor shower, not permitted, with more than required rear yard setback, and not permitted in front yard on Wood Hale Street. Special exception to maintain fourth accessory structure, trash enclosure, not permitted, and with less than required rear yard setback, not permitted in front yard on Leamington Street, and with lot area occupied variance. Maintain 8-foot-high masonry wall larger than pool installation area and pool not located in the rear yard. Maintain 8-foot-high masonry wall forward of dwelling, which may substantially obstruct line of sight, also known as 84 Leamington Street. Gentlemen, please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please take a seat and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Neil, N-E-A-L, Milch, M-I-L-C-H, and it is pronounced Milch. The address is 84 Leamington Street, Lido Beach, New York, 11561.
And good afternoon again, Mrs. D'Amato, members of the board, William Benesso for Chili Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, here on behalf of Mr. Milch in connection with said property. The application before the board this afternoon covers 6 cases for relief pertaining to the improvements made to his residence on Leamington. The board may recall Mr. Milch from 2 years ago for his last application, but since 2013 we've been before the board several times. Back in 2013 we obtained variance relief to build the house in question. Over the years we also received relief for an 8-foot wall as well as an in-ground pool and various other site improvements. At the present time, the house is built. It has a certificate of occupancy. The pool is in. Most of the site improvements have been completed. 2 years ago, we were before the board asking for permission for an accessory structure for a sculpture, a cresting wave situated adjacent to the pool. I'll be handing up some materials in a moment, but that was also approved for the site. Pardon? It has not yet been. The hope is that, assuming this all gets approved, it should be available in November for installation. It had to be fabricated, and we also had this housekeeping to take care of.
And it is spectacular.
So, when the site improvements were installed, we had an inspection. I won't say the inspector was overzealous. I will say he was very detail-oriented. There are at least a couple of the things they looked at with a fine-tooth comb. I think you'll see when we go through each one that the minor variations from what was approved versus what was built are truly minor. The other relief just pertains to the 8-foot wall. We have a little bit more 8-foot wall than we had originally been approved for, but again, it should not have any negative impact in the surrounding area. But I think the best way to approach is just to handle each one at a time. If I may, I'll ask Mr. Owens, and I'm going to do this a couple of times, I'm going to ask you to hand up these materials for the board's review.
Mr. Benesso,
Yes.
the first item, the sculpture, that's the wave, right?
Correct. I'm handing up a package now.
I don't think, that doesn't say wave, that says wall and fence.
May I approach?
Oh, down here, okay. I think I see it now. It's written wood deck right there, so that's what I thought was a wood deck. Wood deck, but now I see, I guess it's here. That's what I thought it was, but then it said wood deck, so I was like, oh. Oh, okay, the word should be in the rest. Okay, thank you. But we already approved that.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why we're here. on the sculpture, if you take a look at the first page of what I'm handing out, you'll see highlighted that first page is the plan that was submitted back in 2021, and that pink highlighted area is where the propane tank was proposed to go. If you look at the next page, you'll see that the propane tank has now been moved inside the proposed pool enclosure.
driveway there, you don't
And
want a car
it's,
to hit.
yes, it was in order to keep it away from the driveway, we've moved it inside. And because of that, the inspectors sent us back to the board. So you can see through as you go through, I provided copies of the sculpture specs and the plans. And then I also provided photos of where, right now, there is a chain link fence that is enclosing the existing pool to keep it safe. But that chain link fence will be taken out, and that's where the sculpture, which will also serve as the enclosure for that side, will be installed. So that's the,
Because you were moving the propane tank in right there.
right, and because of that, we were told to come back to the board. So that,
But is that a portion, where the chain link fence is, it was always anticipated to be the wall?
yes,
Was
and
that already approved as the wall there?
that, it was approved as the back of the sculpture, which has a scalloped wall, the lowest point of which is at least 5 feet tall, so it meets state code as an enclosure for the pool.
But is it now, what's different in the new proposal?
Nothing's different on the sculpture at all.
No,
It's-
what's
it's-
different on the wall?
What's bit different on the wall?
Why do you need new relief for the wall you were already going to put?
We only need the relief for the propane tank. That's why the sculpture was sent back.
So that's not one of the two maintained walls before us?
I'm sorry?
That's not one of the two?
No,
request
that's not
five
part
and
of the
seven?
two, that's different. I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
So that's the first case. The second case, and again, I'm going to make Mr. either Dawn or Mr. Owens, oh, I got Mr. Bogle. The second request, the second request is pertaining to accessory structures on the north side of the dwelling. There, you can see on the, well, when you get the package, there were an array of air conditioners. That's all right. There were an array of air conditioning and HVAC equipment situated on the north side of the building. Those were approved in their location, in their existing location by the board. You'll see on the front page, the highlighted section is where the original plan, and that's the approved plan stamped by the town, shows the air conditioning. As if you turn to page 2, you'll see, again, the air conditioning equipment still in the same location. However, if you look behind at the photos, those air conditioners were originally on stands that were open, and instead, my client had basically storage built into the base of the stands for the air conditioners, so that materials could be kept there. But it's the same approval. I'm sorry, Mr. Pellegrini. Yes, it does bring back memories. Yes. No, they were previously analyzed for the encroachment, but they were unfinished. They were open structures that were holding up the air conditioners, and now they're closed, and they serve. Right. I suppose so. I don't know what the inspector sent it back for, but he sent it back because it was enclosed. So that's the second item. The third item pertains to another accessory structure. It's a special exception to maintain a outdoor shower not permitted with more than required rear yard setback and not permitted in front yard on Woodhill Street, keep in mind, this property is deemed to have 3 front yards. Woodhale Street on to the west, Leamington to the east, and on the south, you have the beach walkway, which is considered a front yard. It gets treated as a front yard. So the distinction here, when you get a chance to look at what you've been handed, you'll see that on the original approved plan, the shower enclosure is there over on the left side in pink. You'll see it's still over there on the left side in pink. It has a plumbing certificate from the town, but the steps were changed. Instead of the steps going north, the steps go east. And for that reason, we were sent to the board again. And that's the only relief that requires. The fourth item, you're getting your exercise, Mr. Owens, is for what is deemed a fourth accessory structure. It is a trash enclosure, not permitted with less than required rear yard setback, not permitted in the front yard on Leamington, and with lot area occupied variance. If you, well, I'll wait till you get the plan. You can pick your rear and your side, but here you only have a rear. No. No, one does not, you can't qualify for a side if it's a front yard. So on this, you'll see in the upper right corner, a pink highlighted section on the approved plan. Originally, the trash enclosure was built into the wall, partially enclosing the front yard. If you look at the next page, you'll see that instead of that, my client installed a wooden structure which holds the trash receptacles. And you'll see photos behind that. And for that reason, we were also sent to the Board of Appeals. Apparently. 2 more things. Now we get to the walls. Christian, you guys are sharing the load. In a prior application, the board approved an 8-foot walls enclosing the property, the pool area, and what you'll see when you get the package highlighted in blue is the outline of the 8-foot walls that were approved by the board. Because it was done before I got to it. The next page in pink, my favorite, shows the actual 8-foot walls that are proposed now. And that's actually, there's only one correction where I show the interior 8-foot wall. Part of that goes up to about 6 feet. That's the scalloped back of the sculpture. It'll be at its peak height 5 feet, or its lowest height 5 feet, and at its peak height up to 12 feet. So, yeah, but the exterior walls that you see in pink are now all 8 feet, as opposed to only a portion, the blue portion that's shown on the first page. And if you take a look, the next 2 pages are the original wall plans, and then you have photos of the exterior walls at 8 feet. That's 6 feet, yes, and the board had approved it at that. Well, either way, I mean, there was going to be a wall there that was going to be 6 feet high, and that was approved. So the 2 added feet on top isn't going to impact in any way, shape, or form the sight lines. Right. So if the 6 feet was approved, the 8 feet is not going to have any impact on that either. So you have the walls, the extension of the 8-foot walls, and then the last item is the,
Mr. Vanessa.
yeah.
It is mitigated because I see that no cars can park where the stairs are.
Correct.
So the cars are further south. That would lend some visibility to a pedestrian coming from behind the wall. There's, you see what I'm saying?
Correct.
Just for the record, it's,
Yes.
that stair area there does give more visibility.
Right. It's not adjacent to a neighboring driveway or anything to that effect. And my client is prepared to install mirrors. They are installed. They are installed. There are mirrors on both sides of the driveway so that he can also see pedestrians walking along the area. So those 6 items are the items we're here for today. If we get approved for, yes, I'm sorry, the one that is being handed up now just shows the portion of the wall extending beyond, into the front yard, and there's the supposed sightline interference, albeit that was already existing with the 6-foot wall that was approved. So consequently, you really don't have any difference there because there was already a sightline, a theoretical sightline intrusion with the 6-foot wall.
Mr. Vanessa, the 5th item says maintain 8-foot-high masonry wall larger than the pool installation area and pool not located in the rear yard. Did we approve the pool where it is now already?
Yes, you did in 2013.
So what is that about?
I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. The pool is installed. It has been installed for how many years?
For roughly 2.5 years. I've been using it for the last 2 seasons.
I guess it must be the part of the 8-foot wall that's behind, along the rear property line, where it is not forward of the dwelling, and then the other one, case 6, is where it's forward of the dwelling? I don't know.
You got me. But that's the relief we're seeking today, and assuming it gets approved, we should be able to get a final inspection done and approved, and the sculpture will be installed, and I know I can't wait to see it, and the board is welcome to, I'm sure the board is welcome to go see it
We'll
as
do an
well, but
inspection.
yes.
When do we anticipate it being installed for the inspection purposes?
November?
It'll be ready in November for installation,
Cool
yeah,
time to install.
yeah.
Do the jellyfish still hang?
Oh, yes. That's because I go to Burning Man, so these are friends of mine who have done many, many large-scale works at Burning Man. Burning Man.
Burning Man.
Yeah, Burning Man. No. Yeah, we had a lot of mud. I had a 16-hour drive that should have taken 2 hours. I had a blast.
Unless there are any questions from the board, that's our case.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I might say that in everything I've done, whether it's, the garbage shed or et cetera, I've used top quality e-pay. I've tried to make this home not only beautiful for myself, but for my neighbors, all of whom have expressed joy at, the quality of the workmanship and the care that I've taken, even for things that face them and don't even really face my usable area. So that's always been my intention.
And as far as I know, we've had no complaints. I didn't see any in the file, any negative comments. No one's here to complain or oppose the application, so, and most of it's already there. So, any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on a decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Have a nice day.
Finally, we have case 56823, Near Valley Stream, CEC Entertainment LLC, special exception to use part of premises for place of public assembly and amusement, proposed Chuck E. Cheese, also known as 750 West Sunrise Highway.
Yeah, unless they have questions. Want to get everybody or wait? They're all with me, but only if there's questions. I do.
Take a seat and state your name and address for the record. Remember if I called the case.
Good afternoon, everybody. Are we on? Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you. Daniel Baker, Greenberg Traurig, 900 Stewart Avenue, Garden City, New York, 11530. On behalf of the applicant, CEC Entertainment LLC, we're here today for a special exception to use a part of the subject premises for public assembly and amusement, namely a Chuck E. Cheese Entertainment Center. I am joined by representatives of CEC Entertainment, or Chuck E. Cheese, as well as the property owner, Macerich Company. As you may all know and recall, the overall property is known as the Green Acres Commons, which is adjacent to Green Acres Mall. I think it's been a while since I've been here for this property. I've been here for the mall in recent times, but for the Commons itself, I think we were last here when it was originally approved. As you might recall, obviously, you know the location is Sunrise Highway and Valley Stream, and it sits at 750 West Sunrise Highway, also known on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map as Section 39, Block 553, and the relevant lots here, lots 3 and 7A. The property sits in what's known as the Regional Shopping Mall Zoning District, again, created probably just for this property and Roosevelt Field, but it does control. The parcel is just shy of 13.5 acres. It's improved with a 302,000 approximately square foot gross leasable area building or buildings. There's a main building and 2 pads on this parcel, made up of mixed-use retail, restaurant, and a fitness center. The subject space is approximately 12,889 square feet. It was formerly used as a Jennifer convertible furniture store. That space has been vacated. The rest of the center, as I know it, is fully occupied, and this space would be utilized for a Chuck E. Cheese Entertainment Center. I'm assuming everyone on the board has had a child or grandchild or someone that has brought you to Chuck E. Cheese at some times, but obviously it's an entertainment center for children. They use it for birthday parties and other entertainment. There are 513 company-owned stores throughout the 45 states in the U.S. and Canada, as well as franchisees throughout the United States and in foreign countries. The use is made up of arcade games, skill-oriented games, small children's rides, and other attractions. They have birthday parties and things like that. The main hours of operation, or peak hours, as you can guess, are Saturdays and Sundays from about 1 o'clock to 6 p.m., although the center is open every day, Monday through Thursday, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Fridays 11 to 10, Saturdays 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it's our position that this would be a fully compatible use with what is not only at Green Acres Commons and Green Acres Mall, but for the uses up and down Sunrise Highway in this area. We don't believe there are any negative impacts flowing from the use. And with that, I would open it up to the board for any questions or comments. Again, I am joined by representatives of both the applicant and the property owner, if you do have any questions.
Question.
Okay.
So looking at, I know you're not here for a parking variance. I
That is
realize
correct.
I just wanted to check those numbers. And I see that there are 721 spaces plus 93 plus 22 provided on your materials. It didn't say how many's required. I was just curious because it does say that a variance is needed for the parking ratio and a variance is needed for the compact off-street parking
Yeah, so
stall.
those are already in place. What we're seeking today doesn't change or create any enhancement to any of the existing variances.
That's what we were checking.
Yeah.
And the others that have yeses are not?
Yeah, that's really just from the previous plan that was submitted to the board and had to be obtained. So the only thing we're here today before the board for is the special exception for the public
use.
assembly.
Do you have any other questions? Sir?
That is?
Okay, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, all parties who have signed in today will receive a copy of the decision by mail.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. Nice
Have a
to see
nice day.
everybody.
She made a mess out of that, didn't she, Dawn?
Concise as I possibly could. You know, it's the end of the day, and I don't think we have any issues. All right, see you later. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye, have a good weekend.
Okay, case 535 of 2023 in Belmore, the Chamber of Commerce of Belmore. We did that from the bench. Moving on to case 1364 of 2023, Franklin Square, the Kiwanis of Franklin Square. That was done from the bench. Moving on to case 536 of 2023, East Atlantic Beach, Margaret Ann Weiss, I hope I said that correctly, and Michaela Gibbons, renewal of a grant to maintain a 7-foot 4-inch high fence affecting the property at 73 Brookline Avenue in East Atlantic Beach. Do we have any discussion? If not, a motion.
I move case 536 of 23 East Atlantic Beach, located at 73 Brookline Avenue, be approved as requested with normal fence conditions.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Cases number 537 of 2023 through 539 of 2023. Cameron Gill, affecting the property at 305 Duck Pond Drive in Wantagh. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move that case 537 to 539, 2023, in Wantagh, Cameron Gill at 305 Duck Pond Drive South in Wantagh be granted as requested.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case 540 of 2023, Kali Oren Book, I hope, affecting the property at 699 Willwood Road in West Hempstead. Do I have discussion? If not, a motion.
I move case 540 of 2023, with respect to 699 Wildwood Road, West Hempstead, be granted as requested.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case number 541, 2023, affecting the property at 1763 Air Place in North Belmore. That case was adjourned to November 15th at 11 o'clock.
There's a modification on the caption also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
A maintain.
Maintenance for installation.
Okay. The caption will be modified by council to the board. Case 542 of 2023, affecting the property at 327 Wilson Street in West Hempstead, Jonathan and Shira Zwirin. I hope I said that correctly. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move case 542 of 23 West Hempstead, 327 Wilson Street, be approved as requested.
Do we have any second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Case number 543 of 2023, affecting the property at 60 Sycamore Lane in Levittown, Francis Za. Do we have any discussion? If not, a motion.
I move that case 543, 2023, Francis Zaw at 60 Sycamore Lane be granted as requested.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Actually, I think that garage should be maintained as a garage.
With the condition,
Yeah,
add to your motion
I
condition.
withdraw that motion and put a new motion before the board. Case 543 of 2023, the variance to maintain a garage attached to the dwelling, that the condition that the garage be maintained as a garage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Case 544 of 2023, affecting the property at 3143 Trinity Street in Oceanside, Scott and Michelle Pascucci. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move case 544 of 2023, with respect to property located at 3143 Trinity Street, Oceanside, be granted as requested.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Case 546 of 2023, property located 599 Parker Avenue in Levittown, Keisha Balmacedo and Eduardo Julio Balmacedo.
Wait, did we skip something?
That-
Did we?
You skipped one?
You skipped one.
Did you do that purposely?
Okay, let's just do the one I just called, and we'll go back.
Okay.
Immediate family request. Do we have any discussion? If not, a motion?
I move case 546 of 23, Levittown, located at 599 Parker Avenue, be approved as requested. Please
Second.
close that open permit zone.
Sorry, thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Going back.
Yes, immediate family conditions, yeah.
Going back to case 545 of 2023, property located at 112 DeCosta Avenue in Oceanside, Matt and Gina Neck. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move that case 543, 2023 at 112 DeCosta Avenue be granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to case 547 of 2023, property at 1270 Mara Court in Atlantic Beach, Fred Natter. Do we have a motion, a discussion? If not, a motion?
We were going to hold this
Yeah.
until we get a new site plan
Showing the deck.
with the deck
Yeah.
and with the correct numbers, percentage of, no, with a permit for the, and an app, for the application for the deck,
Correct.
permit
Okay.
application.
Is that the one we were thinking about removing the generator from here to back here?
Which would, in effect, just denial it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about these things, is you can't see the right. That's why I should Okay, good. Okay, so that case is held. We're now at case 548.
So we're going to wait for the new...
Yeah, we're gonna do site plan,
Yeah.
because we want to move the generator, we're gonna see if this deck back there.
Yep.
Case 548 of 2023, property located at 660 Stratford Road in Baldwin, Heather McGowan. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move case 548 of 2023, located at 660 Stratford Road, Baldwin, be granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in
I'm sorry.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Case 549, 2023, property 627 Cullinard Road, West Hempstead, Norman and Deborah Cooper. Any discussion? If not, motion.
I think I wanted to just put that on reserve for a sec and visit this
Okay.
property, possible.
That'll be put on reserve, Ms. Perry to inspect. Case 550, 2023, property, let's see, 28 Crocus Avenue, Merrick, Michael Schumacher. Any discussion? If not, a motion?
I move that case 550, 2023 in Merrick, Michael Schumacher at 28 Crocus Avenue, Merrick be granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cases 521 of 2023 through 551 of 2023 through 552 of 2023. Property located at 3544 Locust Avenue in Wantagh. Jessica Maxim, I hope I said that correctly. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
Joe, wasn't
This
that the one
needed
with
to be-
variance?
This, I would recommend that we do a draft decision clarifying what the garage is being used for, because I truly don't feel that it needs a use variance. It's additions to an existing garage, and he testified that it could store a vehicle in the garage.
Okay, so let's put that on for a draft decision, Ms. Vogel, and you will already be aware of what. Okay, case 553 of 2023, affecting the property at 799 Chestnut Street in Franklin Square, Garhinder and Sarbeach Singh. I had noted here that I thought this should be inspected.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned
I would like
that
to
me, Ms.
inspect.
Perry.
Yeah, it's a corner lot. I want to just check visibility as well, so I'd
Okay,
like to
let's
look
put
at
that
that.
on for inspection. Case 1363 of 2023, property 102 West Boulevard near East Rockaway. I have a note here that, I'm sorry, that's Crossroads Access Realty LLC. I have a note hold for the
Accurate numbers.
corrected materials, included the number on the lottery occupied, and some materials related to the prior grants, so that we can sort out what is actually needed here. So we'll put that on reserve also. Next case is 335, 2023, 570 Ellen Place, near Valley Stream, Raquel Shapiro. I did make a note that we have to shield the lighting if we are inclined to approve this.
I think I'm going to inspect that as well.
Okay.
I'd like
Really?
to inspect that, yes. It's,
You're going to be busy.
I am, but
Okay, turning the page, 307 of 2023. case, is this the case that we had to hold also? Yeah, these two cases were held pending receipt of the new materials, the new plans being sent through
adjourned.
adjourned. The new plans going through the building department and then being on file with us for 30 days. Adjourned to, was that 11:15 or?
10:18,
10:18. Okay, moving on, and that's the same for case 308 of 2022. So 2 o'clock calendar, cases 554 of 2023 and 555 of 2023 were adjourned to November 15th at 2 o'clock for defective notice. So move to case 556 of 2023, affecting the property at 2656 Woods Avenue in East Meadow, JB Holdings LLC, and case 557, 2023, property to be subdivided if allowed. Is there anything we need to know on that case? All right, members of the board would like to go back through the testimony and materials, so we'll put case 556 and 557 of 2023, the JB Holdings subdivision request on reserve calendar to allow members of the board to review the materials.
Thank you.
Case 558 of 2023 near Valley Stream, Temple Hillel, Southside Jewish Center. The property is located at 1000 Rosedale Road near Valley Stream. There was no CEQA determination made yet. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a CEQA motion, and do we have then a substantive motion on the merits?
I move that based upon the materials submitted in the testimony that the board issue a neg deck.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a requirement that no students are allowed to drive. As to these underlying substantive motion, case, Mr. Pellegrini?
I move that this case be granted with conditions. They were kind of enumerated on the record, and
That no students are allowed to drive, and whatever other number requirements, Mr. Bogle, if you could, or I guess Christine, I should say this stuff to you, old habits die hard, should be included as to the numbers and the non-simultaneous use of the premises. That's actually a really important part of the equation.
yes,
Right, okay.
she's got it under control.
Second.
I'm sorry, second, all in favor?
You
Aye.
seconded it?
Thank you. Okay, cases 559 through 561 of 2023. The Starbucks case affecting the property at 580 Hempstead Turnpike in West Hempstead. The request to move 3 of the signs to new locations. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion that includes sign conditions?
If these were temporary signs, and somebody would have to check the previous record, that we would grant these in accordance with their new location based upon previous conditions that the board may have imposed. Sound reasonable? Okay. So therefore,
Go
I
for
move
it.
that the case, that case 559 and 561 be granted with the previously imposed sign conditions and the relocation is,
And any sign conditions not previously imposed?
there you go, well said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cases 562 of 2023 through 567 of 2023. Property is at 84 Leamington Street in Lido Beach. Neil Milch. Do we have any discussion as to the matters before us, most of which have been before us, with very, very slight distinctions, and are back before us to amend for these minor alterations that were made? Do we have a motion, discussion, or a motion?
I move cases 562 through 567 of 2023 with respect to property 84 Leamington Street in Lido Beach be granted as requested.
All usual fence and
Yes, all
AC
usual
and et cetera.
conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Case
Check the
568.
previous record and see what, just copy that old stuff, which probably applies to this, yeah,
Okay, case
almost previously.
568 of 2023. 750 West Sunrise Highway near Valley Stream, CEC Entertainment LLC. Special exception, use part of the premises for place of public assembly as a Chuck E. Cheese. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move case 568 of 23 near Valley Stream, CEC Entertainment LLC at 750 West Sunrise Highway be approved as
Do we
requested.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go to the reserve calendar. Mr. Vogel, you want to lead us through that since you know what we've received materials on? We haven't, and then after Mr. Vogel, we'll see if anyone else has anything that they want, that they've inspected and want to be heard on.
Well, I believe 19923, Bill did get back and said that he was close, but we still haven't received the updated site plan on that, so that's gonna,
Did you say 19923? Did you?
yeah, the first case on page 19923, the Starbucks. Pat, I believe you have something on 274, correct?
Is this the house of 7 doors?
Yeah.
7 doors for 7 brothers and 7 brides?
There's no update on the doors. Ms. Peniello is now drafting the plans.
What, are they going to remove doors? Or she's just going to change the plans but keep the door?
I don't know. So she's the one that's going to be drafting the original architect. Wouldn't return calls to the applicant, so now the applicant.
Can you say it didn't pay the bill?
Yes, regarding case 355 through 357, Diana Rodoff, they did submit the new plans with the pool.
And the pool coincides with the original permit for the pool?
Yes, so the original, this is what the new plan, this is what the new plans look like.
Remind me why we needed new plans. The pole wasn't on it, or it was in the wrong location, or?
So the pool that was originally drawn here was completely different from what the actual.
They just
pool
never went
was.
back, and the
They
inspector
disturbed it.
didn't notice that it didn't match when he went out to inspect.
So,
You know, but when the inspector went out, he didn't go up. That's square and sit around. Okay, so this is all accurate now?
this is all accurate, yeah.
That was the only
And
reason
then-
we were holding it up?
And it has a permit, the pool.
Yes.
Is there any other issue in this case?
That was the only one that I could pull from the live.
Okay.
Setbacks and everything are cool?
If it wasn't on the live, he doesn't have notice that.
Yes, this is what the one that the two made, and that's the
I
one
can
that's
see that,
actually
sir.
there.
But the setbacks, I think that
Yeah,
was
the
a
setbacks
concern.
were completely different. So this is accurate. This is what.
And a permit was issued on that?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
So, it looks like we're in a position to decide
Amended.
case 355 and 357 of 2023. The property is located at 3419 Jamie Street in Merrick. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move that case 355 to 357 be granted as requested, subject to the amended, corrected site plan that was received by the board.
Usual pool conditions.
Yes, with the
Yeah, but the
usual.
pool wasn't in.
Oh, okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You want to wrestle? I know, but the site plan was wrong.
The next case, Lebowski, we were waiting on site plans that showed the proper elevations. The problem with this is.
Which case are we on?
The next case,
Sequentially,
242,
okay.
sequentially, yeah. So the problem with this is that it initially needed height and exceeds number of stories. They found out they were actually in a flood zone, so they conform with the height and the number of stories, but there was livable space on the first floor. So we waited for them to finally submit a new site plan. I just want to pull up the page that shows the elevations. Here we go.
Well, you got it? You're the man.
Where's the DFE? So, yeah, this is the first livable space. Design flood elevation is right here, the 10-foot mark. So it's right at where the freeboard is. It starts at 11 feet, which is where the, there's a design flood elevation. I know it's small, but.
DFE 10,
Yeah, the freeboard starts.
the 29 and 10.
29 to 10.
Right, so.
So it'd be, they're withdrawing the request for height that exceeds number of stories.
So there, this is the usable space, and this one, there's no usable
Yeah,
up
it's
here,
kind of
and
like a
this
split
doesn't
level,
count.
the second story.
Did they withdraw that, or did the building
We're
department remove it?
Oh, it's removed, yeah, the building department removed because they no longer need a height variance.
Okay, so first I would need I'd like to have
Dismiss it as moved.
a motion.
It's not before us if they.
Right.
Right, no, I'd like, can someone make a motion to dismiss the, okay, case 242 of 2023, property is 931 Eileen Terrace in Woodmere, Ronnie and Vanessa Lavovsky, I hope. Do I have a motion as it relates to the request for height and number of stories?
I move that the variances for lot area occupied, number of stories has been, well.
Don't we
back
still
up.
need lot area
We
occupied?
need lot area
Just get rid
occupied,
of
rear
Rear
yard.
yard, construct 1 2-story additions with wood deck, all attached to the dwelling. As per the amended plan submitted to the board,
Dismiss height and in that
it
number of
was,
stories.
it's been removed.
But I want to dismiss it
Okay.
from our consideration.
The, I don't know when this is, the plans, I don't know what the date is.
Hold on.
The building department has determined that the height and exceeds the number of stories is not necessary. Therefore, I move that these two items be dismissed.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that resolves it. We're not done yet. So now, part of their request is for 3-story additions. Do the additions still there, but they're just recharacterized as 2-story?
Yes, exactly, because the first floor, which was a story prior to them putting it in a flood zone, was characterized as livable space. They have now made them unlivable space.
So this is a 2-story addition plus a FEMA story addition outside the existing footprint, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well-
So we're going to have to amend the caption to read, not to read rear yard, then construct 1 and 2-story additions. So there's a single-story addition and then a 2-story addition.
Correct. So it would-
Inclusive of a FEMA level
Right.
underneath.
So it would be variances, lot area occupied, rear yard, construct, first and second story additions and wood deck all attached to dwelling.
Okay, so we're going to amend the caption that way without, I think we just do it administratively. That's how the caption will now read. Now, as it relates to the case, is there discussion by the board or a motion? Either way. Joe?
I think perhaps that Christina would like to do a draft on this so that,
Okay, so would that be a
clarify it.
draft with the view toward probably granting the case?
yes,
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So can you prepare, okay, good. Next is Christina or Mr. Vogel, whoever's
This is
driving
you,
the bus.
actually, Pat, that's,
Well, I thought he was doing that.
Oh, my God.
She knows.
She'll have you up in charge.
So, did you do everything that you have?
I got it.
In other words, I just wanted you to go through the ones that you need to prompt us
Oh,
on,
there's-
and then inspect it.
No, there's more, we're going through the time.
Okay.
We have a lot that we got.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's been a
good,
long time.
let's do it.
Regarding case 35823, 54 Carolyn Avenue, I got their inspection report back
I'm sorry.
from the building
Mr.
department.
Owen, I apologize. Which case?
358.
Thank you.
Top page two.
Yep. Received the report back from the building inspector. It says, received email to inspect 54 Carolyn Avenue, Valley Stream from supervisor. Inspector was able to make full interior inspection. All life safety alarms installed and appear to be in working order. All permits completed without certificate of completion. Violations that were present at the time: key lock separations on bedrooms and key lock and deadbolt on door to mother-daughter apartment. There is a bed in the finished basement. Owner was instructed to correct and get final inspection. Owner stated gate across two-car driveway was done by another inspector and corrected.
So
But
wait.
there is
In
living
addition-
space in the basement.
Yes, what I'm saying, in addition to the mother-daughter unit, which is obviously just another apartment, being locked off, how many other doors had locks, interior doors? This is a boarding house,
It doesn't say how many had,
but multiple.
but multiple.
And
Plus,
so what-
plus there was a bed in the basement, in the finished basement.
What did the building department do? Just issue notice of potential violations or summonses or what?
They issued, it says they issued violations, but told them that they had to call back for final inspection because they're gonna keep coming out.
So
But,
issuing violations is not summonses, right? That's called a
correct,
notice of
they usually
potential
go, they usually
violation.
go out there first and issue a violation, and if they don't continue, and if they don't correct it within the first inspection, then they,
Listen, if they're renting those out, people live there. So is there a way that we can check twice? Like, because obviously I could go take all the door locks off, take all the door locks off, and then move out the beds, come on, inspector, here you go, and then put it back. If I went there 2 or 3 times, the people need to move out.
Enforcement will stay while it's still pending, even though this is outside of what's being requested, so they can still enforce a portion of it. If there's a second kitchen that was denied, the mother daughter would be able to actually enforce it.
Because if we deny the mother daughter,
Rap sheet.
okay, so the kitchen's already in, right? So if we deny the mother daughter, then we're gonna we have to send the building guy back out to say, oh, by the way, it was denied. Now you're also getting a notice that you have to take that kitchen out. And then there's, okay, so let's do that.
Okay, wait. For the record, I was absent at that hearing, but I did view the live stream, and I feel that I could confidently participate in it.
Okay.
Okay, with respect to case 358 of 2023, property located at 54 Caroline Avenue near Valley Stream. This is a mother-daughter residence. I move to deny this request and make sure that they get notice that that second kitchen has to be removed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Concerning the next case, 348 of 23, 349 of 23, Cassidy's Restaurant and Bar, we did reach out to Mark Anthony's office about reconfiguring the angled parking. Actually, as it currently exists, the parking is angled, but the site plan displays straight-on parking. They did say they were going to supply us with a site plan, however, we have yet to receive said site plan.
All right, so we just hold it here.
He's working on it, I know that for a fact.
The rest, I believe, are inspections, so it's whatever the board.
Okay, thank you. Who call the cases, whoever's got, I'll just tell me what you want to do.
I inspected case 485, 486, 487, and 488. The traffic situation there is absolutely amazing. There's a convergence of Southern State Parkway entrance, Southern State Parkway exit, the Hempstead Avenue traffic that comes, there's other roadways that come in. It's a mess, and I think the people's concern about the traffic is going to be greatly increased.
I
The
agree.
safety here is unbelievable.
I inspected it as well.
As did I.
And, you know, you can't make a left turn going southbound. It's double yellow. You can't even get in. I had to turn around 3 times.
Yeah.
And try to get in, and I couldn't line it up because I had people behind me, people in front of me, and with the light, and everybody's rushing to go on to the Southern State.
Yeah, it's so close to the intersection.
I
As a
agree.
procedural matter as well, the Nassau County Planning Commission recommended disapproval. Mr. Agano cannot vote on this case because he is recused. Therefore, we do not have a supermajority even to overturn the NCPC should we want to approve.
Did we happen to get the police reports that I asked for?
Unfortunately, we didn't get those.
We were unable to get the police reports. I did reach out to the precinct there. They said it was going to take a while. It was going to take a while, but they did share that they had major concerns about that area. There's constant accidents right there.
So, shall we dismiss the case? Is that what we do here? He said, well, do we vote to deny it, or does it?
No, I think we vote to, if we believe that on the merits it should be denied, we would deny.
Okay, I didn't know if you thought, because we don't
If we
have
are confirming the
that.
NCPC, we do not need a supermajority. We can agree with the NCPC with a bare majority.
And we should note it, because we never agree with the NCPC.
Right.
Okay, so as it relates to case 488 of 2023,
485, starting with 485.
oh, I apologize. Cases 4. Wait.
That was my side.
Okay.
Got it.
So let's,
Thank you.
now that we've discussed where we're going to have dinner tonight, not marriage, cases 485 through 488 of 2023, affecting the property located 496 Hempstead Avenue, near Malvern, Malvern Gold LLC. Now that everyone's had a chance to inspect it, we've obviously seen the materials from the hearing and reviewed whatever other materials file that the various members feel relevant. Do we have any further discussion, or shall we move to a motion? Joanne was moving.
Yeah, I'll move it. Should we move them individually?
I just moved them as a group.
With respect to cases 485, 486, 487, and 488, location 496 Hempstead Avenue, near Malvern, I move to deny all 4 cases.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys all
Okay. Okay, I will make a motion on the next case simply because I did do the inspection, and that is case 493 of 2023. Quick lookout. It's 81 Cedarhurst Avenue. Hold on. Uh-oh. So as it relates, I just wanted to thank council, I just conference with council to make sure that the plans that I reviewed as part of my inspection were in fact those that were amended, and in fact those were the correct plans, so I can move forward with my motion, which is as it relates to case 493 of 2023, again, 81 Cedarhurst Avenue in Point Lookout, Joseph Branca. The proposal is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. The request exceeds number of stories. Based on the factors that are delineated in most of the case law, the building department, and the amended plans, I don't believe that the third level of this house, if you will, is actually a third story. So as the new plans reflect, my motion would be to grant the case shown in the most recent set of plans, but that it be granted with the acknowledgement that the level with the upper level, which has predominantly just a roof deck and an access area to get to the roof deck and does not need a height variance, that is actually more properly characterized as 2.5 story. So with that caveat, I would make a motion that we have a draft grant prepared and that we grant the case. Or just, I would make a motion that we grant it, and I would ask Counsel Christina to prepare a draft grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I forgot to say, do you have a second, because I was making the motion. Okay. Case 500, he says 500.
Wait, we got case 500 through 501. Yes, the building department went out there. There was no living space in the garage. They did an inspection. Everything seemed to be okay.
Thank you. Cases 500 through 501 of 2023. The property is located at 746 Foxhurst Road in Baldwin. It's Teresa Arena. Do we have any discussion now that we've gotten the inspection report from the building department? And if we do not have further discussion, do we have a motion?
Kim?
I make a motion for case 500 to 501 of 23 in Baldwin, Teresa Arena, located at 746 Foxhurst Road, to be approved as requested.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Did anyone inspect case, oh, I probably did. I feel like I inspected that case. Yeah, we're gonna hold this so I can get my act together, because I'm not sure if I inspected it or not. Wait, and you said it doesn't need height, but it needs number of stories, right?
No, it doesn't need number of stories, it's a FEMA 3. So it's construct 3-story, but doesn't need, it's not a third, it's not technically a 4th story, there's one unlivable, 3 stories on top, it's 2 livable spaces on top.
So that's how they're sending them out now? You know, we've been all over the map with the stuff.
Yes, it's construct 3-story dwelling. If it doesn't need, if it's a FEMA 3, it won't say number of stories. If it needs a number of variance, number of stories, construct 3-story
Just
dwelling. If it just says construct 3-story without that, it's a FEMA 3.
And do we have some language that we put in each one of these that says, the request is for 3-story dwelling, however, this is considered by the board to be a 2-story, a dwelling with a FEMA first floor that's not usable, and 2 usable or something like that, so every one of these so later, you know, I'm always concerned later, we don't get, will you improve, you know, 6 3-story buildings over here, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah,
Okay, so,
it's carved out of that.
and so you have that language.
349, where it specifically states, what if we
Okay, so we'll hold 464 of 2023 until our next session, and I'll go down with you to make sure, well, I'll just go look at it. Okay, so moving along, I apologize for the delay. 517 of 2023, let's see.
Yes.
Did we get?
She
okay.
did submit the amended plans.
Oh, this is the fence, right? The fence on East Rockaway Road. Here wasn't accurate. He was saying it was much closer. This is 1.5 feet. It was actually 8 feet.
Yeah, this is the case where, and then there was a much more space.
Yeah, there was like 8 feet plus there's extra
Visibility,
until, yeah.
because that's the front yard.
Right, correct.
Okay, so we don't have a safety issue with the fence where it is, right?
I looked at it
And we were gonna, I think though,
a while ago.
yeah, we needed this, I remember now, I wanted this accurate number, so that if we approve it 1.5 feet off, she could move it out further.
Right, exactly.
So we needed, okay, all right. So, do you recall this case? Or okay, so, I'll call the case and then we can do. So, case 517 of 2023, property 164 East Rockaway Road in Hewlett, Ariella Walkowitz. This was a case that we needed an accurate survey and site plan showing the correct number as to where the fence is located, because I believe the board was of the feeling that it was a safe location in terms of the visibility, but we wanted to make sure that the materials reflected where it was accurately. Does anyone wish to discuss this case further? And if not, would someone like to make a motion as it relates to the case?
I move case 517 of 2023, located at 164 East Rockaway Road in Hewlett, be granted as requested with all pool conditions and fence conditions.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay, 522. Tina, Ms. Pangala was going to check if the sheds.
Yes.
And how many families were living in them.
The shed is still there, but it's going to be removed.
It's sheds,
Shit.
not to be nitpicky. There's an S. I don't know if there's maybe there's only one and it's just a typo.
Yeah, I might have just typed, it might just be a typo.
So it was one
Yeah.
shed, it is there, it's going to be removed, and does the site plan reflect to be removed? Is that why we were?
Yes.
That's what
Yeah,
happened, yeah.
okay. So it's all accurate then?
Correct.
Okay. So case 522 of 2023, the property is located at 179 Division Avenue in Levittown. It's Derek and Alice Mutter Spa. Do we have any further discussion now that we are confident that the shed is going to be removed as indicated on the site plan? And if not, do we have a motion?
I move that case 522 of 23 at 179 Division Avenue be granted with the conditions that the shed be removed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the last two cases on the reserve calendar are 533 and 534 of 2023. The property is at 400 Langley Avenue in West Hempstead. Those are properties that Mr. Regano has inspected and is not here today to advise us on, so we will hold those until our next session. Is there anything we need to do on the referral calendar? Okay, next.
First thing I have is extensions in time. I'm sorry, I didn't have the opportunity to review them ahead of
Okay.
time. So, one is for 2 extensions of time for maintenance, and one of them's the first time on. Let's see what we got here. They have no they didn't say why. Extension time, what's this for?
Both granted in 22.
Yeah, this
How
is
does one have?
maintain 5-family dwelling, variance front yard setback on Nassau. There's a grant of a rehearing of a case in 887 of 18.
What was, say that again?
So this case was, so this one, 887 of 18, the first case, is JCTL. It was
Yes.
approved in 2018. They probably let the extension of time fall through, had to apply for a rehearing. It was granted on 10/19 of 22, and then they filed for 2 extensions since then.
How does that, look, if This is, I don't know, this is wrong.
Oh, sorry, that was right. No, this is correct, that's correct.
Okay, so-
The next extension was 10, yeah.
Right, but if that's the date we're starting with, how did they already get two of them? Like,
So,
this one's
they
4
requested-
months later and they've had none.
They
One-
requested the first one on 10/19/22, which was extended to April 19th, 2023.
Wait, 10/19, that would make sense,
And it was
because,
a 6-month extension of time. Then on March 29th, 2023, so about 20 days prior to the expiration of the previous extension of time, they got another 9-month extension of time to September 29th, 2023.
Here we are.
And here we are. Those are the two extensions, 2 6-month extensions.
I thought you said it was a 9-month.
The extensions of time were both 6-month extensions.
Oh, okay. So, and the reason, I guess, funding,
Unfortunately, they had not specified the reason.
well, I'm sure the conditions haven't changed, and there's no, since they haven't gotten the permits yet, they don't have a mess at the place we
Yeah,
have
it's
to worry about.
also maintained, it's already there, so it's supposed to be for interior. It's interior work to convert it.
Well, wait a minute. It's a maintain?
Use variance to maintain 5-family dwelling.
You did that?
No, I'm just, wait a minute, that changes the equation. Okay, it's a 5-family dwelling, use variance, and they haven't even gone to get the permits, like, I feel like, well, you know why? Because, what's the case here?
365 through 367 of 2022.
I think you said it was 18. Oh, but then we reheard
The
it.
first one was heard in 18, it was approved, then it was heard again.
So do we give it a new
granted,
case number?
5/11/2022, case number 364 and 365 of 365 through 367 of 2022.
On the rehearing, though, do we give a new case number?
That is the new case number. The previous case number, the 18 case number
Okay,
is...
as long as you know that. Okay, so as it relates to cases 365 through 367 of 2022, affecting the property located at 484 through 488 of Nassau Road in Roosevelt. The request for an extension of time is not granted administratively, but rather will call them back in to explain to us the basis for the request, given that there isn't one on the materials provided. Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And the other one is Jacobson. I think this is just a residential construct, but let me double check.
No prior request.
Yeah, granted. Okay, this is a house. We granted the house but denied the exceeds number of stories. They need time.
Do they have time? How much time do they have?
They said COVID-related delays. They related COVID-related delays. You have 4 months to pick up the permit.
And then a
You
year.
have a year after that to apply for an extension of time.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so they're timely.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yes.
they just said COVID.
6 months.
Okay, you want to make a motion on that, Joe?
I move that we grant the Jacobsons,
Case,
case number 608 of 23A, 22. Oh,
property
Robbie,
located.
Robbie.
wait, that's the property one.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
I move that we grant a 6-month extension of time on case number 608, 2022, which was granted...
23.
22, which was granted by the board on September 14th, 2022, a 6-month extension of time.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Christine has an application request.
We have one modification request. It's case number 300 to 302 of 23 Cifarelli. In that case, we granted and denied part of the variances. And one of the conditions that we put on were that the garage will have no electric.
Okay.
And
What is the basis of the request?
the basis of the request is to comply with, I believe you.
Okay, so we previously granted part and denied in part, and one of the conditions as it relates to the garage was we precluded them from having electricity, so that had to clearly be a mistake. Garage door openers, lights, so I recall the case, and it was my intention, and it's a very common theme. What we usually deny in garages is heat and plumbing, so I'm sure that, I mean, I recall independently this case, and that was the intention of the board, was to deny, can you stop here? Was to deny those items, and so I would move that we modify this, because that was clearly just an administrative error on our part. It's never been our intention to preclude someone from having a light and a garage door opener in the garage, so. Yeah, so I don't know if I need to make a motion, but that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
That modification.
Next, I have case number 434 of 2023, Joseph and Martha Skilura. This was a case in which the board granted on August 23rd, 2023, concerning the conversion of a one-family dwelling into a two. We received a modification request concerning this application. Essentially, it was for financial purposes. This house was purchased under the belief that it was a two-family. For financing purposes, it was purchased as that under the amount that a two-family would be worth compared to what a one-family is priced at. They're requesting a modification to change it from a 5-year temporary grant to a permanent grant, and have agreed to the condition that it be subject to verification of the building department every 5 years, which I checked with the building department, and they stated that they would be willing and able to perform said inspections.
Okay, and this is a case that we've discussed, and that you and I discussed, and I ask you to look into, this is not the first time this situation has arisen. We've always granted these temporarily solely, the only purpose of the temporary designation was always to ensure that every 5 years, the building department inspected the premises and verified that the conditions that we've imposed are met. So,
In fact, Mr. Amato, we actually have a case on the referral calendar that has a similar problem, in which a house was purchased as a two-family, and now
Right.
they've had to go through hoops in order to.
So I would like you to tell us, for the record, what you discover, if there is a way, after your work with the building department, that would allow us to keep in place that 5-year inspection as a matter of course, to ensure that conditions imposed by this board are met, but at the same time allow us to take off the tag temporarily, so that, because we have come to learn that that does unnecessarily harm certain individuals, either in the purchase and sale of property, and or in other ways, and it's not necessary if the only thing we want the only purpose of the temporary designation is for the inspection. So can you please explain to the board what you have come to know?
As the board is well aware, they are more than permitted in their discretion to institute any sort of reasonable conditions that they believe would permit the enforcement of their conditions. As this is obvious, the matter that's in front of us now is discretionary. It's whether or not the board believes that if it creates more harm than good to have this temporary grant, it is in their discretion to remove said temporary grants moving forward. I understand the board wishes to continue to have the policing mechanism to ensure that people are following these conditions. The rehearing process is one of those ways in which we can inform the policing mechanism. However, the building department and the building inspectors, they do have a list of the cases that go out and then inspect prior to. I got the assurances of the building inspector. The supervisor of the building inspector's office has told me that he will continue to have these sorts of cases as long as the zoning board makes a note of these cases to be continued to be inspected. However, the policy matter of whether or not the board intends to either make this permanent or temporary is a matter of, it's a policy initiative based on the board. So you guys can go either way on this. But we do have a mechanism in place to ensure that enforcement does continue should we decide to make them permanent. And it is not uncommon that in the past I have written letters to banks in order to say that a temporary grant is a matter of course for the most part. The board has discretion to withdraw those. However, if the applicant stays in compliance, That's a very rare situation.
But for the everyday person,
Correct.
I could understand how it feels to them like, what temporary, does that mean it can be taken from me at any time? And while we are aware that if you comply with the grant conditions, it will be renewed, I think it's a good government step for us to take to eliminate that terminology as long as we can still achieve our purpose. And as you've just indicated, there's a mechanism in place, and you've confirmed that that will be used go forward, that we still can assure that every 5 years, on every case that we send up there, they will, with conditions, as it relates to two-family dwellings, the building department will still do that necessary inspection and confirm conditions are being met. And then, as a matter of good government, we can drop the term temporary, because it does come to us regularly, the difficulties it causes unnecessarily on others. The grant will still be the same grant, it will still have the same conditions, they are equally enforceable, and the grant could be revoked if the conditions aren't met. All of that stays the same. So it would be my motion to the board that we adopt the change to our procedures and our nomenclature while maintaining all the same controls over the grants. So I would ask, that would be my motion.
I have before we continue, I have a question about the people who, I can hear myself, who came in, they thought they were purchasing a two-family house, okay, but they were really purchasing a one-family.
Right.
But we granted them the two-family?
No, we actually didn't do that because the caption was wrong. So based on the temporary nature of this, they came in to renew a two-family, but because they were the new owners, the caption only reflected the old owners and not the new ones. So it was at the discretion of the board for them to file a new application, of which is still pending. So.
Okay, so the new application is going to be for a two-family?
Correct, but it's also because the previous is expired, they need to satisfy the burden of proof that they're entitled to the use. So
They'll do that on the new case.
Right.
They're entitled,
Right.
they have the burden of proof.
Okay, but now they want it to be,
Pre-adjusting it? Go ahead.
no, now they want it to, even before they have it, they want it to be permanent.
Well, this is just what gave rise to the issue. It's been festering all along, and it just,
But there had to be a reason that this was done. For how many years? Okay, why was it done?
it was done to keep the inspection mechanism.
Okay,
That's why we
but
looked
we're
into
saying, but did those people that we're speaking about, they had nothing to do with mortgages? We just kind of brought that in.
No, them? No, they were after the fact. So there have been situations whether it's a business with a temporary grant or a two-family, any sort of use. I have had individuals call me, like, I know for any sort of state, so if there's a state licensing requirement, a lot of times the state will be like, I don't like this temporary thing, and they need a letter. When it comes to certain financing,
And you never got any pushback after you wrote that letter?
no one's ever called me, no. That's not.
But again,
Okay, but if we, temporary versus a condition, that's what we're looking at, right?
no,
Temporary,
the condition will still always be there.
We're
No,
adding
but-
the condition that says 5 years expected, yeah.
right, so if a mortgage company looks at temporary and looks at a condition, what's the difference? It's still going to be a condition that it has to be looked at in 5 years, and now we just have a temporary.
Because when they, see, you know,
It's buried inside.
See, I just
rather
wonder,
than on the
changing
outside.
something that's been here for such a long time, why was it put there?
it was put there for the inspection mechanism.
Okay, but is that bad?
It's bad if we can achieve the same thing without causing the detriment unnecessarily to people. And if I was a homeowner, if I was purchasing property, I would definitely not want, even though we know in sum and substance, we can put the word permanent or temporary or whatever we want. When there's a condition on a grant, if it's not met, it can be revoked. We all know that. But that
okay.
being said, I think it's more the language is like a trigger for the, pardon me, low man on the totem pole somewhere to go. a motion to adjourn?
That motion.
Go ahead.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Can I second? Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.